and honored to speak to you all about this important topic of higher education in the era of climate disclosure. Thank you for inviting me and us for this important event. We are going to talk to you about IFRS, the S1 and S2, and how you can actually build a new sustainability competency framework. Just before we begin, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Shivani Rajpal. I'm the CEO of Earth Academy. Earth Academy is based in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. We are a sustainability educational provider. We basically help organizations, governments, individuals, academics to build capacity in sustainability and sustainable development. Before I started working for Earth Academy, I worked for Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, and I know that you also report using the GRI standards. So I worked for GRI for 12 years before Earth Academy. I was the head of training and services over there, so my expertise lies in really the technical standards of GRI, TCFD, IFRS, and all the other acronyms that you hear. So we are very, very happy to take you through the journey and build this competency framework together. All right, so before we actually get into the details of IFRS S1 and S2 and what it is, let's kind of take a step back and understand the paradigm shift, the mindset change in sustainability reporting. So the older view, the way traditional sustainability reporting used to be, it used to be more based on moral values, reputational exercise, and that is really changing at this point in time. The mindset is moving towards the new reality, which is organizations are expected to do financial materiality. What does that actually mean? It means that organizations, instead of looking at the moral and reputational exercise and a tick box of traditional sustainability reporting, they look inward from the perspective of what matters to them, what impacts their financial materiality, what impacts their enterprise value, and write a report based on those ESG issues that affect the organizations. And that way, organizations are able to monitor and manage their risks and opportunities that are important for the stakeholders like investors and other providers of financial capital. This is where IFRS standards fit in. The S1, S2 standards, they focus on the disclosures that help organizations making a report based on the risks that affect the organization's cash flow and the cost of capital. And that is what your investors are looking for. Oh, sorry. There you are. So now kind of Taiwan, I just want to kind of briefly talk about, of course, you know more than I do, but from my understanding, Taiwan's journey to IFRS alignment is not a new one. Taiwan has been doing sustainability reporting for a while now. It already started in 2014 as voluntary reporting, where many companies began sustainability reporting by themselves. And I think GRI, TCFD framework, and other frameworks like SASB standards as well were very solid over here. In 2020, what I understood is that the FSC kind of built a new regulation, which is Corporate Governance 3.0, and this was a good shift from a nice-to-have sustainability report towards a market direction of regulatory shift. And that's where first time Taiwanese companies started reporting based on a regulation instead of just a voluntary report. Now, in the future, what Taiwan has already committed to is kind of really taking IFRS alignment. So aligning of full alignment of IFRS S1 and S2 standards. So a transition from a GRI report or a TCFD report to a fully aligned S1 and S2. And this is where it becomes very, very exciting. We are looking at, again, this kind of brings me back to the paradigm shift or the mindset shift, which is You're not going to be looking at what were your performance in the ESG topics from the past year just based on the moral values of the organization and reporting according to the compliance, but you're going to be looking at how to build capacity on financial materiality. How do you look at the topics that have value creation for the organization? So that's what the stakeholders are looking for. That's what your investors and other providers of financial capital are looking for, looking at enterprise value for the organization. So now that we have this context set, let's now understand what the S1 and S2 standards actually ask for. The IFRS S1 standards are the standards that are related to general disclosures, but general disclosures based on sustainability-related financial disclosures. So that's where already the mindset changes, where the integration of financial materiality is kind of incorporated within the expectation of IFRS S1. And I know for your financial reporting as well, Taiwanese companies use IFRS financial reporting standards as well. So that's really a solid foundation. What S1 is looking for is a set of general disclosures for your ESG topics that would help you in understanding sustainability-related risks and opportunities through the lens of financial impact. So what actually is impacting the cost of capital of the organization, the financial impact of the organization. And if you've used TCFD standards before, TCFD framework before, it is very important to understand that the 4 pillars that were there for the TCFD framework that have been incorporated within the S1 and S2 standards. So governance, strategy, risk management, and metrics and targets. All the disclosures are kind of, they work around these 4 pillars or the 4 categories. Now, if you look at S2 standards, they are very specifically related to climate standards, climate disclosures. And again, it's not just an environmental report, but it is about quantifying your climate risks into financial terms. And that's again where the mindset changes. So even though you may be reporting on your climate disclosures, now you have to think about physical and transition risks from the point of view of what impacts the organization the most from the financial impact perspective. So where does it impact your cash flows? How does it impact your asset valuation, the cost of capital of the organizations? And the companies, they have to connect climate scenario to strategy, to cash flow projections, and to the enterprise value. So that kind of brings to what ISSB or IFRS S1 and S2 would focus on, which is putting together a report that's solid and it's helpful for decision-making from the stakeholders' perspective. So how can stakeholders pick up the report and actually make decisions based on those reports, that reported information? So financial report is not enough for the stakeholders. They need non-financial reporting as well, but linked to the topics, the ESG topics that actually affect the enterprise value. So what you're going to be changing in your reporting mindset would be looking at quantitative data, which is going to be an input for your valuation models. You're going to be looking at your ESG topics from the point of view of what impacts your enterprise value. So impacts that go beyond just your corporate ethics, and strategic alignment, meaning the financial governance and capital allocation, all of that would be very well connected. And what this means is that you'd have to speak new language, the language of what CFOs speak and the investors speak. And that's how you connect your financial disclosures to your non-financial disclosures in a meaningful way that helps in decision these investors. So again, we come back to the fact that Taiwan has a solid foundation, but there are of course transition plans and gaps that require to be filled over there. Solid foundation meaning that you already have widespread adoption of GRI standards, SASB standards, and TCFD framework. And just for the context, Maybe you already know this before, but SASB standards and TCFD framework have been rolled into the S1 and S2 standards. So ISSB has kind of incorporated SASB and TCFD into its own organization. So that way you have a solid foundation for that as well. But of course there are gaps, and that gap is more related to transitioning to S1 and S2 from the competency point of view. So how do you build an understanding of sustainability issues that affect enterprise value? So you already have a report based on the impacts that are outward, that how do you affect people and planet, but how do the ESG topics impact your enterprise value is where the new information will come into the picture, and that's where the competency gap needs to be built. So our goal is really to bridge that divide between the ESG professionals and the financial professionals to have same language and common terminology that's used between the two departments. And this is where IFRS can help from the point of view of the type of information and material and courses that it provides. We have FSA certification or credential that could be a bridge between sustainability and finance. FSA, the full form of FSA is Fundamentals of Sustainability Accounting. As the name suggests, you basically understand sustainability from an accounting point of view. So really that could be the missing link, where you're looking at sustainability and how to address those impacts that are related to cash flow and assets of the organization. How do you then integrate those ESG topics into your financial implications and reporting as well? And that would be a link that initiates strategic priorities. And that's how the organization starts talking about it in the same language as well. So when it comes to what is required for the next generation of sustainability leaders, it's very important to talk to a university like yours, because you're kind of building the next generation sustainability leaders over here. They do need to speak the language of CFOs. They need to understand what are balance sheets, what is profit and loss, what is enterprise value. So all of that, those important terminologies have to come into picture. They need to be able to understand how to embed sustainability into the strategy of the organization. Isolation of ESG is not going to be helpful. The links between ESG initiatives have to be directly made to the management and the capital allocation of the organization, and that would finally move the organizations to just a compliance exercise to a value creation exercise, which is what the stakeholders are demanding for. So how can Earth Academy actually play a role in this? We are very honored and happy to play a leading role in this, in building Taiwan's capacity on the IFRS course. We, of course, in addition to the FSA credential, we have the IFRS courses as well. We are a partner and approved IFRS FSA educational provider globally. And so together with our partnership with IFRS and the newly formed TC together, we commit to build an ecosystem for Taiwan's switch or transition to IFRS S1 and S2 alignment. The role that we would be playing would be to equip professionals over here to be able to measure, to be able to communicate sustainability in financial terms. And the final goal will be your national goal, which is transforming sustainability into strategic business driver by adopting IFRS S1 and S2 standards. So really the path forward from here is sustainability from the point of view of financial materiality, where it would mean the shift that is inevitable from ESG, traditional ESG reporting, to sustainability linked to financial materiality. Taiwan is ready to align with the global standards, which are IFRS S1 and S2 standards, which is very, very exciting for us. And TISI is kind of fully prepared to take this forward with a clear call to action, which is take your first steps in mastering the IFRS standards by way of our courses. So I want to kind of end my presentation over here with just a question back to you all, which is we are ready with the call to action and happy to help you to take the next steps. Are you all ready for the next steps together with us or not? Thank you very much.